All right, let's go ahead and move to number 2 then. Okay, number 2, we got well, we have a lot of 2's here. We have a 2 in front of x, and we also have a -2. So with the 2 sitting in front of x, that means it is a horizontal compression by 1/2. Okay, remember the one, anything associated with x is kind of like the opposite. Okay, like you see x -4 is like moving to the right by 4. And if there's a number multiplied by x, it's actually 1/2. So a horizontal compression by 1/2. Okay, and then the -2 means we are shifting down by 2 units. We're shifting down by 2 units. So now, I believe you can go ahead and draw your asymptotes. We can first draw our horizontal asymptote since we know it's being shifted down by 2 units right there. There's no shift left or right. Okay, so we keep the same vertical asymptote at x equals to 0. Now, I'm sorry, hold on. Y-intercept, the horizontal intercept is y goes to -2. Now, one good practice is that as you write down these information or draw these features, you finish them all together. Okay, it would allows you to spot out mistakes if you make any. Okay, so, and because of this, we know where the 2 asymptotes meets together, and then we can tell the center of rotational symmetry. That is 0, -2. All right. So originally, we are going to put the points right here. Originally, but because of the horizontal compression by 1/2, these 2 points will be compressed, and therefore they're going to get closer to the asymptote, to the vertical asymptote. So so you have this, and you can go ahead and draw it here. Okay. All right, so it doesn't seem like there's any y-intercept because I don't think it's possible. Okay, so we can go ahead, write down the domain. The domain is anything but 0, just like the restriction. Okay, x cannot be 0. And the range in this case would be anything but -2. Okay, I'm gonna give you a moment to fill up the write down the blanks, and make sure you understand why. If you have questions, okay, make sure you ask, like, why is it stopping at 0? Okay, why do we say the domain is everything but 0? Okay, I hope you can understand that. And now the question is, can you see there is an X intercept? All right, can you see there's an X intercept right there? Okay, so we are guessing like it's supposed to be something like 0 point something, it's less than 1, between 0 and 1. But what is that value? What is that value there? Okay, what is that value there? So now, how about this? Let me teach you a method. Now, you have this, right? can you go ahead, make a common denominator? What if I want to combine these two things together, what would be the common denominator? The common denominator would be 2x, right? So if the common denominator would be 2x, how would the numerator, well, what would the numerator look like? So you would say, well, if you want to do common denominator, right? So you would have to do 2x times 2x over 2x. So you have 1 minus 4x, right? Now, so I want to make this a little transition to what we do tomorrow and next week. I want to write this little statement here. For a fraction to be 0. A very simple idea, but I want you to write it down. For a fraction to be 0, the numerator must be 0. Okay? Write this down, and then take a moment, just think about it. For a fraction to be 0, the numerator must be 0. Okay? For a fraction to be 0, the numerator must be 0. Because if you use a calculator, 0 divided by anything is 0. So when we try to find out the x-intercept, we say the y needs to be 0, right? So if we say, oh yeah, we want the y to be 0, so if a fraction to be 0, in this case we say, well, what must be 0? Well, for the fraction to be 0, the numerator must be 0. So we say, oh, so to find out the x-intercept, what you do, you simply figure this one out. You look at the numerator of the fraction, unified fraction, set it equals 0. So x is equal to 1/4. And by the way, when you find out your x-intercept, it has to match with the reality. If you somehow, okay, you forgot the negative sign somehow, okay, and you wrote down and you got -1/4, I hope you would stop yourself and say, wait, my graph doesn't show that. Something must be wrong. Either my graph is wrong or my calculation is wrong. Okay, so that's how you find out the x-intercept. 1/4 comma 0. Okay, so again, we can combine them together, okay, to have to be a single fraction, and then you can find out the x-intercept a lot easier. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at number 4.